You know, there is a sound that humanity has been listening for since the moment we invented the radio. We built giant metal ears in the desert. We pointed them at the stars. We tuned them to every frequency we could imagine. Hydrogen lines, pulsars, the quiet hum of the cosmos. We have been listening for 100 years, waiting for a whisper, a beep, a pattern, anything that says, you are not alone. And do you know what we found? Silence. Absolute, crushing silence. Now, in the last conversation we had, we talked about the physics of that silence. We talked about distance. We talked about the speed of light. We talked about how the universe is just too big and too expensive for anyone to come visit us. And that is true. Physics is a harsh judge, but there is another possibility, a darker possibility, one that doesn't rely on the speed of light or the cost of rocket fuel, but on the psychology of survival. What if the silence isn't because there's no one out there? What if the silence is because everyone else is smart enough to keep their mouths shut? This is a concept that keeps me up at night. It's not a physics law like gravity, but it's a law of logic that is just as unbreakable. It's called the dark forest theory. And if it's true, then everything we are doing right now, broadcasting our TV shows, sending maps on the Voyager probes, shooting high-power radio messages at star clusters, is the most dangerous mistake in the history of life on Earth. Let's strip away the romance of Star Trek. Let's look at the universe through the lens of game theory and cosmic sociology. Imagine you are a hunter. You are walking through a dark, ancient forest at night. You can't see more than 10 feet in front of you. You know that this forest is full of life, but you also know that resources are scarce. Everyone needs to eat. Everyone needs to survive. Now, in this forest, you are armed. You have a gun, but you are treading very, very softly. You don't step on dry twigs. You don't cough. You don't use a flashlight. You breathe shallowly. Why? Because you know that behind every tree, in the shadow of every bush, there could be another hunter. And you don't know his intentions. You don't know if he is hungry. You don't know if he is crazy. You don't know if he thinks you are a threat. If you make a sound, if you light a fire, if you shout hello, you reveal your position. And in the dark forest, revealing your position is the same as painting a target on your chest. The other hunters, the ones who have survived for millions of years, they don't wait to introduce themselves. They don't wait to ask if you come in peace. They shoot at the source of the noise, not because they are evil, not because they hate you, but because in a universe of darkness, elimination is the only guarantee of safety. This is the dark forest theory, popularized by the science fiction writer Liu Cixin, but grounded in the very real mathematics of the Fermi Paradox. It suggests that the reason the universe looks empty is that all the intelligent civilizations are hiding. They are ghosts, because being a ghost is the only way to stay alive. And we are the only idiots standing in the middle of the clearing, lighting a massive bonfire and screaming, "We are here, we have water, we have DNA, come find us." It sounds paranoid, doesn't it? It sounds like a grim way to look at reality, but let's break it down with logic. I love logic. Logic doesn't care if you're an optimist or a pessimist. The theory rests on two simple axioms, two rules of cosmic sociology. First, survival is the primary need of any civilization. If you don't survive, nothing else matters. You can't have art, you can't have science, you can't have morality if you are dead. So survival comes first, always. Second, civilizations grow and expand, but the total matter in the universe remains constant. Think about that. A civilization, as it gets advanced, needs more energy. It needs more stars, more planets, more minerals. We are already seeing this on Earth. We used up the wood, then the coal, then the oil, and now we are looking at the sun. Eventually, we will need the resources of the entire solar system. But the universe, while big, is finite in terms of reachable resources. So you have explosive growth meeting limited supply. That creates conflict, mathematical, inevitable conflict. Now add the most terrifying variable to this equation, the chain of suspicion. Let's say we find a neighbor, a civilization orbiting a star 20 light years away. Let's call them Civilization X. We don't know if Civilization X is benevolent, good, or malicious, bad. They don't know if we are benevolent or malicious, but it gets worse. Even if we know they are good, we can't know if they think we are good. And even if they know we are good, they can't know if we think that they think we are good. It's an infinite regression of doubt. It's the prisoner's dilemma played out on a galactic scale. You see, in space, distances are vast. Communication takes years, decades, centuries. If we send a message saying, "We come in peace," it might take 20 years to get there. In those 20 years, we might change our minds, or they might change theirs. You can never truly trust a neighbor you cannot talk to in real time. And then there is the problem of technological explosion. This is the part that really seals the deal. Look at humanity. For 200,000 years, we were hitting rocks together. We were hunters and gatherers. Nothing changed. Then in the last 200 years, a blink of an eye in cosmic time, we went from steam engines to splitting the atom. We went from horse carriages to the Voyager probes leaving the solar system. Technology is not linear, it is exponential. If you see a primitive civilization today, one that is just starting to use radio, you might think, oh, they are harmless, they are cute, let's leave them alone. But because of the time delay in space, by the time you turn your back and look again a few hundred years later, they could have undergone a technological explosion. They could have surpassed you. They could have built weapons that can vaporize your star. A baby tiger is cute, but a baby tiger grows up. And in the dark forest, you don't wait for the tiger to grow up. You don't take the risk. If you see a sprout of life that might become a threat, the safest, most logical, most mathematically sound move is to stomp on it before it blooms. It's not personal, it's just calculus. If you destroy them, you lose nothing. If you let them live, you risk everything. In a universe where the stakes are the extinction of your entire species, the only rational move is a preemptive strike. This explains the silence perfectly. The old civilizations, the grand type 3 civilizations that might possess the power of gods, they are silent because they are listening. They are cleaning the forest. They are like snipers. They don't transmit. They don't broadcast. They watch. And when they see a signal, a bright, noisy radio bubble expanding from a yellow dwarf star, they simply pull the trigger. And this brings us to the most uncomfortable realization about humanity. We are children playing with a loaded gun. For the last century, we have been leaking radio waves into space. I Love Lucy, the news, military radar, GPS signals. We have created a bubble of noise that is now 200 light years wide. To a listener with a sensitive enough telescope, Earth shines in the radio spectrum brighter than the sun. But we didn't stop at accidental noise. Oh no, we got arrogant. We decided to shout. In 1974, we used the massive Arecibo telescope to beam a high-power message directly at the M13 star cluster. We put everything in there. We told them our DNA structure. We told them our population. We told them exactly where we live, third planet from the sun. We basically sent a detailed map and a menu to the predators. We sent the Voyager golden records with maps to Earth using pulsars as landmarks. We drew a big red arrow pointing right at our heads. Why did we do this? Because we assumed that any civilization advanced enough to hear us must be good. We assumed that intelligence equals morality. We projected our own human hopes onto the cold vacuum of space. But evolution teaches us something different. Look at nature on Earth. Is the smartest creature always the nicest? Humans are the smartest creatures on Earth. Are we nice to the ants? Are we nice to the cows? When we expand into a forest to build a city, do we ask the wolves for permission? Do we hate the wolves? No, we don't hate them. They are just in the way. To a civilization millions of years ahead of us, we are not enemies. We are bugs. We are an annoying anthill in the backyard of their galaxy. And you don't negotiate with ants. You pour concrete over them. Stephen Hawking, one of the most brilliant minds we ever had, warned us about this. He said, meeting an advanced civilization could be like Native Americans encountering Columbus. That didn't turn out so well for the Native Americans. Hawking understood the game. He understood that in a clash between a high-tech civilization and a low-tech one, the low-tech one usually disappears. So what does this cleaning look like? How does the forest kill the noisy hunter? Hollywood imagines giant fleets of spaceships, Independence Day, War of the Worlds, lasers, explosions, dogfights in the atmosphere. But if you really think about the physics, that's inefficient. Sending a fleet of ships takes massive amounts of energy and time. Remember our last talk about the rocket equation? No. If you want to eliminate a threat, you don't invade. You don't bother landing. You just turn out the light. You could launch a relativistic kill vehicle, a small object, maybe the size of a sewing needle, accelerated to near the speed of light. When it hits Earth, the kinetic energy would be like 1,000 nuclear bombs going off at once. The atmosphere burns, the oceans boil, game over. We wouldn't even see it coming. Or, if you are really advanced, a Type 3 civilization, maybe you manipulate the star itself. You destabilize the sun. You cause a superflare that strips away our atmosphere. Or you trigger a false vacuum decay in our sector of space, rewriting the laws of physics so that chemistry itself becomes impossible. It's clean, it's fast, it's cheap, and it ensures your survival. The dark forest theory suggests that the universe is actually full of these graveyards, silent, dead worlds that once shouted hello and were silenced before they could finish the sentence. This creates a terrifying filter, the great filter. Maybe the reason we haven't found aliens is that the moment a civilization learns to use radio, they ring the dinner bell. They survive for a few hundred years, just enough time to make noise, and then they are removed. Maybe the silence is the only thing protecting us. Now, I know what you're thinking. Richard, this is depressing. This is paranoia. Surely an advanced species would have evolved past the need for violence. Maybe. I hope so. I really do. It would be wonderful if intelligence led to peace. But let's look at the data. We have a sample size of one, Earth. On Earth, has peace increased with technology? Yes and no. We are less violent to each other inside our societies, perhaps. But our capacity for destruction has grown. We have the power to destroy ourselves. And more importantly, the dark forest isn't about hatred. It's about lack of information. If you are in a dark room with a stranger and you both have guns and you can't talk to each other, and you know that if he shoots first, you die, what do? The logical move, the only logical move, is to shoot. Fear is the universal constant, not love, not curiosity. Fear, the fear that the other guy strikes first, the fear that the new kid on the block grows up to be a monster. This theory changes how we look at the night sky. When I look up now, I don't just see a playground of wonder. I see a battlefield that has gone quiet because the battle is over and the survivors are hiding. The stars aren't welcoming lights. They are the campfires of cautious hunters, each one terrified of making a sound. So what should we do? Should we be scared? Well, the cat is already out of the bag. We've been leaking radio for 100 years. That shell of information is expanding at the speed of light. It's already washed over thousands of stars. If there is a hunter nearby, they already know we are here. But maybe, just maybe, the forest isn't as crowded as we fear. Maybe the distances are so vast that even the hunters can't be bothered to waste ammo on a small, noisy planet like Earth. Maybe we are just too small to be noticed, like a cricket chirping in a hurricane. Or maybe there is a way out of the trap. The only way to escape the dark forest dynamic is to establish trust. And trust requires communication. It requires survival long enough to prove we are not a threat. It requires us to become a Type 1 civilization that can defend itself so we aren't just helpless prey. But until then, perhaps we should listen to Stephen Hawking. Perhaps we should stop shouting. Perhaps we should stop sending maps to our front door. Because the universe is not a fairy tale. It is a system, a cold, beautiful, ruthless system of matter and energy. And in a system like that, ignorance is death, but arrogance is suicide. We need to grow up. We need to stop acting like the baby in the crib crying for attention and start acting like the adults who check the locks on the doors at night. We are alone in the dark. That doesn't mean we have to be afraid, but it does mean we have to be smart. The silence of the universe is not a tragedy. It's a warning, and we would be very, very wise to listen to it. If you want to keep exploring the scary but beautiful truths of our reality, if you want to know if the universe itself is a simulation or if physics is about to break, make sure you are subscribed. We're going to turn on the flashlight and look into the shadows together. Stay quiet, stay safe, and keep looking up, but maybe keep your voice down. See you in the next one.